Team Fantasy Outlook time. Let's get it. Welcome in, everybody. Today we're going to be diving deep into the 2022 New Orleans Saints Team Fantasy Outlook. The Saints once again have high expectations for the season. Last season they were bitten by the injury bug, but this year they should provide some really good fantasy options for your roster in 2022. As we look at last year's standings, the Saints finished 2021 as the number 2 team in their division. They finished behind the Bucs at 9-8-0. This year, I believe they will win the division with double-digit wins. The Saints are completely loaded on both sides of the ball and should be able to provide fantasy football fireworks all season long. This year in the draft, the New Orleans Saints took one player that I believe will be fantasy relevant in 2022. The wide receiver out of Ohio State, Chris Olave, has extremely high expectations within this offense. Olave has a high draft capital, which should provide him with some solid opportunities. The Saints gave up a ton of picks to move up and take him in the draft. Olave should be a high-producing number 2 wide receiver for the Saints, even with them adding Jarvis Landry to the team this offseason. Let's look at an overview of the targets for the Saints for 2022. We are going to break this down into 3 categories. The first category is studs. These are players that you can easily plug and play regardless of matchups. Studs can win you weeks even against difficult defenses. The next category is starters. These are players that you will start almost every week, except there could be a few weeks where matchups can dictate whether you start them or not. The last category we'll talk about is the flex. These are players that you can plug into your flex position and they have a chance to have a fantasy relevant game, but cannot be counted on every week due to inconsistency. In the stud category, we're going to look at running back Alvin Kamara and wide receiver Michael Thomas. In the starters category, we're going to look at wide receiver Chris Olave and wide receiver Jarvis Landry. And in the flex category, we're going to look at quarterback Jameis Winston and tight end Taysom Hill. Now let's dive deep into each of those fantasy football targets for the 2022 season. First up, we have running back Alvin Kamara. At the time of doing this video, Kamara is still going to go to court for his assault incident that he had at the Pro Bowl. But for the sake of this video, I will assume that he will be good to go week 1 of the regular season. Kamara is another set it and forget it type of player. He can take any rush or reception to the house at any given moment. Kamara isn't the most consistent of the running backs in the league just due to the ever-changing game plan that the Saints do have, but he will have more great games than dud games. He should continue to produce at a high level in 2022. Next on the list, we have wide receiver Michael Thomas. Thomas missed all of last season with an injury and is extremely hungry this year, and I believe he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. There has been a lot of negative press for Thomas based on his attitude towards not only the team, but head coach Sean Payton. Now, with head coach Payton retired and Thomas healthy, look for him and Winston to regain their rapport and start reminding everyone why he believes he is the best wide receiver in football. Right now, you can get Michael Thomas later in the early rounds, but I see his ADP rising once preseason comes around and he can show that he is fully healthy. Now let's go over to the wide receiver who finished number 52 last season in Jarvis Landry. Landry is a solid slot wide receiver who is in need of a functional offense. He now signs with the Saints and should be in a comfortable into the slot, which should produce some solid numbers for fantasy. With Michael Thomas and Chris Olave taking away the pressure underneath and Alvin Kamara taking away linebacker attention, look for Landry to be someone that you can easily play as your wide receiver 3 every week in 2022. Next, we have the number 33 overall quarterback from last season, Jameis Winston. Winston came out of the gates playing solid NFL football last season, throwing 14 touchdowns compared to only 3 interceptions, before tearing his ACL in Week 8 against the Bucs. Jameis Winston has the pedigree to be a solid quarterback for fantasy, throwing 300 yards on any given game. But the problem is that Winston is now with the Saints, and they won't allow him to make these gunslinger type of plays, which made him so explosive. Now with Sean Payton no longer the head coach, the question will be whether or not Dennis Allen will allow Winston to take more of a down-the-field shots due to them getting Thomas back and adding Chris Olave. Only time will tell, but Winston is still someone you can put on your bench and plug and play for certain matchups in 2022. Last on the list, we have tight end Taysom Hill. Hill is a jack of all trades type of player. You will see him at tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and even on special teams this season. With Dennis Allen now the head coach spot, he said Taysom Hill will work primarily with the tight ends, not no longer with the quarterbacks, and this pretty much ends any speculation of him being a franchise quarterback. Taysom Hill will still be competing with Adam Trautman for targets, but with the Swiss Army knife role, you can probably plug Hill in your tight end spot or your flex spot from time to time as bye week fill-ins. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. That way you guys stay up to date on all the content that we're dropping. We're trying to get you some really good tidbits here and there to make sure you are well prepared to not only take home a championship, but make sure you bring it home in style. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. We'll see you guys next time.